Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriyet. Nashtuprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, text 24 onwards. Sa nishchayen yuktavyo yogo anirvinachetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamans tyakpa sarvan asheshata manasavendriya gramam viniyamya samantata. So one should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires, born of mental speculation, and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Wow. So first mind has to be controlled, and then the senses have to be controlled by the mind. And this is how Krishna says, with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. The yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. One should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there is any delay in the attainment of success. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Regarding Bhakti Yoga, Rupa Goswami says, Utsaha Nishyadharya Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat. One can execute the process of Bhakti Yoga successfully with full-hearted enthusiasm, perseverance, and determination, by following the prescribed duties in the association of devotees and by engaging completely in the activities of goodness. So any yoga practice, determination, faith, perseverance, it has to be needed. It is needed to be successful. As for determination, one should follow the example of the sparrow who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. The sparrow laid her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal. So the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. The sparrow told the ocean actually that I'm going to dry you up if you don't give the eggs. The ocean said, you're going to dry me? Try it. She began to pick out the water in a small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impossible determination. But the news of her activity spread, and at last Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate towards his small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow, and he promised to help. Thus Garuda at once asked the ocean to return her eggs, lest he himself take up the work of the sparrow. So Garuda said, you return her eggs, otherwise I'll dry you up. And Garuda is very much capable. The ocean was frightened at this and returned the eggs. Thus the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. Now this help of Garudaji, this can only happen in Bhakti Yoga. If we are trying, we're determined, trying to put in our sincere effort and still not getting anywhere, or we think we are not getting anywhere, actually we are, but Krishna will send the help. But for Hatha Yoga or Jnana Yoga, there is no such help provided. Similarly, the practice of yoga, especially Bhakti Yoga in Krishna consciousness, may appear to be a very difficult job. But if anyone follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help, for God helps those who help themselves. So this in Bhakti Yoga, this is the special feature that Krishna takes care, Krishna helps. But for other yogas, yes, as Krishna says, one has to engage himself with determination and faith and not deviate at all. And then further he says, Shanay Shaner upar meda buddhya dhriti grihitaya atma sanstam manah kritva na kinchidabhi chintayet. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction. And thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. By proper conviction and intelligence, one should gradually cease sense activities. This is called a pratyahar. The mind being controlled by conviction, meditation, and cessation from the senses should be situated in trance or samadhi. So the mind be controlled by conviction, meditation, and cessation from the senses or sensual activities should be situated in trance or samadhi. At that time, there is no longer any danger of becoming engaged in the material conception of life. In other words, although one is involved with matter, as long as the material body exists, one should not think about sense gratification. So involving with matter and doing other material duties, taking care of response, that is okay. But not getting attached to it. And this is how one can make progress in yoga. One should think of no pleasure aside from the pleasure of the Supreme Self. Now for Ashtanga Yoga, one has to control the mind, intelligence, and then control the senses. But in Bhakti Yoga, the senses are there, but we try to please the senses of Krishna. In return, our senses get pleased. There's no doubt about it. But the direct process of pleasing our senses is slowly it goes away. This state is easily attained by directly practicing Krishna consciousness. So again and again, Prabhupada brings up Bhakti or Krishna consciousness and what exactly Krishna meant for Ashtanga Yoga. So for Ashtanga Yoga, it looks very, very difficult. And that's why in Satyuga, when meditation was a process, people could go and meditate for 40, 50, 60,000 years. It would take that long. They would live for 100,000, so they could go, Munis would meditate for that long. But in Kali Yuga, forget about 50, 60 years, we cannot even do it for 5 or 6 years properly. So that is why Kali Yuga means only Bhakti Yoga. And even in Bhakti Yoga, chanting the Holy. Just do this, that's all. And then we are trying to control the mind, and through the mind, we're trying to control the senses. So Krishna further says, Yato yato nischalati manaschanchalam asthiram tatastato niyamatad atmanneva vasham nayet. From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. See, this is the nature of the mind, flickering and unsteady. This is how it is designed. And in a way, it is good. Because whatever Krishna does, it's perfect. Why he has designed it in this way? So even if our mind for some time is on sense gratification, it will not stay there permanently. Even from sense gratification, it's also flickering and unsteady. Even from Krishna consciousness, it's also flickering and unsteady. But the good part is, it will not remain on this material things for too long. Now, how to bring it back under the control of the self? That is a question. Now, we studied earlier that the intelligence is more subtle than the mind, means it is more powerful. So by strengthening the intelligence or making the intelligence sharp, we can control the mind. And soul is spiritual. So soul even can control the intelligence and the mind. If now soul is spiritual, soul is part and parcel of Krishna, but because of our conditioning or because of our consciousness, we have become weakened. Although it is powerful, it has just forgotten its powerful position. So now that is why we have to do all these processes, yoga processes. Otherwise, in Golok Vrindavan, nobody does the yoga, nobody sits down and does the meditation. They are already in their original position. Now, since we are here, and we are trying to understand by Krishna's or Guru's or Prabhupada's mercy, we have come to this understanding that we are suffering here. That's for sure. Now, how to get out? The process is yoga. Now, which kind of yoga? Kali Yoga, Bhakti Yoga is the easiest and most powerful chanting, among that chanting of the holy names. But Ashtanga Yoga, it is a process. Jnana Yoga is also a process. And by that, intelligence becomes sharper. The consciousness starts getting purified. And with that, mind has to be controlled. Mind will still remain flickering and unstable, but it has to be controlled. The nature of the mind is flickering and unsteady, but a self-realized yogi has to control the mind. The mind should not control him. One who controls the mind and therefore the senses as well is called Goswami or Swami. And one who is controlled by the mind is called Godas, or the servant of the senses. Goswami, Go means senses also. It means cow also, but it also means senses. So one who controls the senses, that is a Goswami. A Goswami knows a standard of sense happiness. In transcendental sense happiness, the senses are engaged in the service of Rishikesha, or the supreme honor of the senses, Krishna. So Rishikesha, Rishika means senses, Isha means controller or the Lord of the senses. So real Lord is Krishna. So either we try to control by Ashtanga Yoga, sit down, meditation, do not think of any sense objects, and don't even try to go for sense gratification. Or do Bhakti Yoga and directly use the senses in the service of Rishikesha. That you are Rishikesh. You please help me in controlling my senses. You are the Lord of my senses. And Krishna helps. And when we are chanting Hare Krishna, and Prabhupada gave the meaning as, O Radharani, O Krishna, please engage me in your service. Now, what does that mean? Please engage me. Engage me is soul, yes. Me also means body. Means you just engage me, the soul, all my senses, mind, everything. in your service. This is what we are begging. How long he is going to ignore? Even chanting is also service, engaging our senses in his service. So with chanting, our bhakti has started. And more service he can give depending upon our sincerity. That yes, we are really sincere. We are really begging from the core of our heart. And he can see, we cannot cheat him. He knows. So when we beg in that mood, and when will that mood come? When we are completely frustrated in the material life. Either it can come through knowledge, yes, this is the best thing to do, but we need some practical experience also, then he frustrates us in the material world. Material world, there is no hope anymore, and spiritually we haven't advanced, then what we going to do? Just beg, cry, please, Krishna, please, engage me in your service. If we are materially happy, we'll not beg. We'll chant, but we might just finish our rounds, complete our rounds. We will not beg. We won't be that sincere. Until, yes, knowledge is there and the urgency of attaining Krishna is there, Krishna Prem is there. You might beg properly, even we are materially comfortable. But generally it doesn't happen. And that is why he takes away everything. To those I show special mercy, I take away Krishna's. Because ultimately the goal is not to be comfortable here for next, what, 10, 15, 20, 30 years? That's all is left in our lives. The goal is to be with Krishna in the spiritual world and be comfortable, happy, blissful, forever, eternally. And for that, if Krishna removes everything, removes all the obstacles from our life, we should be very thankful. Something that we could not give up, he removed it. Okay, thank you. It is painful, but live in the material world and take birth again, that is more. So that is when the senses start getting purified by using them in the service of Krishna. That is called purification of senses. Even mind, even intelligence, they all start getting purified. That is a way of bringing the senses under full control. What is more, that is the highest perfection of yoga practice. So that is the way, means serving Krishna with purified senses. That is the way of bringing the senses under full control. In the process, we might fail once in a while. We might fail every day. Oh, what's a big deal? Yes, the conditioning is there, the sanskaras are there from so many millions and millions of lifetimes. Yeah, so, but we pick up again and start chanting again, start doing our devotional service again. With more enthusiasm, more determination. That Krishna, please don't let me fail again. Even if we fail again, okay, so what? Get up, again do it, again keep going. It's not, that's what Krishna himself says, no, shanar, shanar. It happens slowly, slowly, slowly. So let it happen. Prashant manasam hyenam yoginam sukham uttamam upayati shant rajasam brahma bhuta kalmasham The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. See? He is freed from all reactions to past deeds. And again, Krishna did not say all bad reactions. Even good reactions are gone. We think we will be just comfortable, all of our sinful reactions are gone, I can live happily here. No, that's not the purpose. Brahma-bhuta is a state of being free from material contamination and situated in the transcendental service of the Lord. So Brahma-bhuta, and another slok comes in 18th chapter, Brahma-bhuta prasannatma ashochati na kamshati. So Brahma-bhuta means spiritually, he's not in this Dehe-bhuta platform, he's not on that platform. Jeev-bhuta, Deha, he's in Brahma-bhuta, the spiritual platform. So Brahma-bhuta, word-to-word meaning, it's a liberation by identification with the absolute. So not identification with body anymore. Mad bhaktim labate param. That's Krishna says in 18th chapter. One cannot remain in the quality of Brahman, the absolute, until one's mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. Save manah Krishna padaravindayo. To be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, or to remain in Krishna consciousness, is to be factually liberated from the mode of passion and all material contamination. So, not just passion, definitely ignorance is also to be gone away. So, to be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, or to remain in Krishna consciousness, or if you look at from yoga point of view, to remain in that advanced stage of yoga, one has to be liberated from the mode of passion and all material contamination. All material contamination. And for devotees, it's Sarva Upadhi Vinirmukta. Upadhi. We have so many titles. I'm man, I'm woman, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm scholar, and I'm dumb, and I'm rich, and I'm poor. Soul has nothing to do with it. It's all bodily designations. So one has to get above these. But it can happen slowly, slowly, slowly. Gradually one realizes a qualitative identity with Brahman or spirituality and becomes satisfied that I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, and then makes further progress. And then further, Yunjanevam sadatmanam yogi vigat kalmasha sukhena brahma sansparsham atyantam sukham ashnute. Thus the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. See, this is what Krishna is saying. It's not, sometimes they say, Prabhupada just brought bhakti everywhere. No, no, no. Bhakti is stressed on by Krishna himself, either here or in the later chapters. Prabhupada knows what Krishna wants, and that's why he brought this bhakti concept in every purport. So Krishna says, Yunjan, engaging in yoga practice, sada always, atmanam the self, and Brahmasparsham, Sansparshams, being in constant touch with the Supreme, and that can only happen in loving devotional service. So loving service, when it happens, it's not the Ashtanga Yoga, it's all completely Bhakti Yoga. Self-realization means knowing one's constitutional position in relationship to the Supreme. The individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme, and his position is to render transcendental service to the Lord. This transcendental contact with the Supreme is called Brahm Samsparsha. The previous verse describes the yogi who attains self-realization, who realizes that he is not this body but a soul, qualitatively one with Brahman. This verse describes going beyond that realization to the realization of the super soul. So, qualitatively one with Brahman means I am spiritual, but then going beyond to realize the super soul sitting in our heart. The yogi who is in touch with the Supreme Self experiences Sukhena, transcendental happiness, because of Brahma Samsparshan, being in constant touch with the Supreme. So, Krishna used the word samsparsham. Sparsh means touch. Samsparshan means samyak, touch. Samyak means complete touch. So that happens when yogi is meditating on the super soul. But for Krishna, for devotees, it's even easier. They not only meditate on the Lord, but they also meditate on the service and they render the service to the Lord. So that is more samsparsham, complete, in being in touch completely. Sarvabhutastham atmanam sarvabhutani cha atmani. Ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samdarshana. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. So a Krishna conscious yogi is a perfect seer because he sees Krishna, the Supreme, situated in everyone's heart as Super Soul, Paramatma. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hriddeshe Arjun Tishtati. The Lord in his Paramatma feature is situated within body, within both the heart of the dog and that of a Brahman. The perfect yogi knows that the Lord is eternally transcendental and is not materially affected by his presence in either a dog or a Brahman. And not just the Lord is not affected, even the soul is not affected. Soul always remains spiritual, it is a consciousness. Because of his consciousness, he gets the body of a dog or a Brahman. So perfect yogi, he knows the position and this is what he sees. So that is the supreme neutrality of the Lord. The individual soul is also situated in the individual heart, but he is not present in all hearts. Means not the same soul is present in all the hearts. That is the distinction between the individual soul and the super soul. One who is not factually in the practice of yoga cannot see so clearly. So sometimes people argue, people ask so many questions just to show they show their ignorance. They don't show their knowledge. They show their ignorance by not knowing anything. And one who is not in the practice of yoga cannot see so clearly. A Krishna conscious person can see Krishna in the heart of both the believer and the non-believer. In the Smriti Satat Tantra, this is confirmed as follows. Atatvacha matrivat atma hi parmo hari. The Lord being the source of all beings is like the mother and the maintainer. As a mother is neutral to all different kinds of children, the Supreme Father, mother is also. Consequently, the soul is always in every living being. The super soul is always in every living being. So the super soul is always there. in the heart, along with the soul, no matter which body we are in. And always remains. As long as we are in the material world, Super Soul remains with us. Outwardly also, every living being is situated in the energy of the Lord. Every living being is situated in the energy of the Lord. Yes, the body is also Krishna's energy. The material world is also his energy. And he as Super Soul is also sitting within our heart along with the soul to help us. So, what is beyond his energy? Nothing. As will be explained in the 7th chapter, the Lord has primarily two energies, the spiritual or superior and the material or inferior. The living entity, although part of the superior energy, is conditioned by the inferior energy. The living entity is always in the Lord's energy. Even every living entity is situated in him in one way or other. Always in Lord's energy, whether we are in material energy, Maya or Yoga Maya. That depends upon our consciousness. But we are, so that's why it is said we are situated in him. In him doesn't mean in Shyam Sundar Krishna. Everything is in his energy. And energy and energetic are non-different. So that's why we are situated in him, one way or other. The yogi sees equally because he sees that all living entities, although in different situations, according to the results of fruitive work, in all circumstances, remain the servants of God. That's why Krishna also says, everyone serves me, no matter, something like that. I'm trying to remember that shloka. So either we are serving Maya or we are serving Yoga Maya. We are definitely serving. And those both are his energies. So we remain the servant of God. So better to remain in the service of God directly than indirectly working through Maya. Because when we serve Maya, we remain in the material world. Always agitated, always disturbed. This is what Maya does to us. We think we are happy, or we can be happy if I get this, if I get that, I'll be happy. No, not gonna be happy. Krishna designed it in this way, Dukkhalayam. We can be in a more comfortable position than others. But to come to that comfortable position, we have to work so hard, to go through so much of discomfort to come to a comfortable position in the material world. But can we be happy here? It gives us very, very little, very temporary happiness. But just to get that, people go crazy. That's why yoga is important. While in the material energy, the living entity serves the material senses. And while in the spiritual energy, he serves the Supreme Lord directly. In either case, the living entity is a servant of God. This vision of equality is perfect in a person in Krishna consciousness. So when we see this, everybody is serving, and most of us are serving material energy, or most of the time we are serving material energy. Then what's the point? And she just doesn't let us go. Okay, I guess I can stop here. See anybody? It's getting very technical. So, see anybody has any questions or comments?
Nice class, Prabhuji.
Thank
Very
you, Prabhu.
nicely explained by in the Gita. Nicely explained.
Yeah. Yeah, Prabhupada's explanations are amazing.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I have a question. Somewhere during, the explanation, you mentioned about Ashtanga Yoga and the yoga, the way it has been explained by Prabhupada ji. Is he? I mean, I couldn't get it very clearly. Is it that he is comparing in the sense कि एक दूसरे से ज़्यादा अच्छा है कि is it one is a preferred way over the other? I couldn't get the sense of it very.
Actually, the yoga system, the Dhyana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, the chapter is that. So Krishna is explaining, and Prabhupada, he explains that, but he always brings Bhakti Yoga in this, so Krishna consciousness. In a way, we can say comparatively, or he explains how Bhakti Yoga is simple, and for this day and age, this is the only process. But why he does that? Not that he doesn't like Ashtanga Yoga, but this is what Krishna is saying. If we read the last verse of this chapter, 6th chapter, that's the 42nd verse. So Krishna himself says, I'm sorry, not the 42nd. It's the last verse. I'm trying to get it there. Yeah, it's 47th. He himself says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratman shraddhavan bhajate yomam samayukta tamamata. Means, and of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. So after explaining the whole yoga process in 6th chapter, last verse he says, best is Bhakti Yoga. So knowing this is what Krishna is leading to, so Prabhupada in every purport makes sure we understand the Bhakti Yoga way also.
Mm-hmm. Now, what I have learned about the Ashtanga Yoga is that it takes you through the various steps. It's a very step-by-step approach. Bhakti Yoga is a very, it's at the top. अभी उसमें ऐसा लगता है कि you're trying to reach for the top is the toughest one, most difficult one. Should we go through the step procedure or should we just jump to the top, try to jump to the top, which sometimes sounds very unachievable. You keep trying, that's okay, keep trying. But
Bhakti Yoga, it doesn't mean the first day we pick up our beads and we're going to achieve the perfection, the top.
mm-hmm.
It takes time. It takes years and years of chanting and other services to control the mind, to really concentrate on Krishna, concentrate on our chanting properly. It takes practice, lots of practice.
Right. But again, it does not at any point say that it does not discourage anyone from following parallelly the Ashtanga Yoga thing, right? It does not stop anyone.
No, because it's a process given by Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita. So it doesn't discourage, but only part is it will not give us the full happiness or the perfection that we can achieve in Bhakti Yoga.
Right.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that clarifies.
Yeah.
Dhanyavad. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
So you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Jai Shri.